Did you know that the greatest asset of any fighter is his willingness to get up even when he's been knocked down? And when he can't get up, it's his willingness to have a spirit to want to stand. I want to applaud you all for having a spirit to want to stand, for having a spirit of wanting to get up. The fighter in you is so championed by your ability to just put one foot in front of the other and be better today than you were tomorrow. At the end of the day, I know that this thing called life can sometimes get difficult. It can sometimes get challenging. And many of you are lost and not sure what to do. You're afraid and you are not quite sure if this thing life is for you, but I can assure you that it is. It gets better. And before you make a decision that we have to live with, make one you can live with and dial 3 simple numbers: 988. You're so familiar with 911. If you got to call 911, that works just as well. But if you just need a moment to talk to somebody who can point you in the right direction, dial 988. It don't take much. It don't require much. You just simply need to do what you've always done. That's fight. Put one foot in front of the other and get up and fight. And when you're done doing that phone call, turn your head and just simply do another step and reach out and get some type of help in the form of therapy. BetterHelp does not sponsor me. It does not help me in any form or fashion. I don't take a single penny from BetterHelp. I simply just use it myself. I use it for a multitude of different things, whether it be just for regular maintenance or for dealing with grief or loss, to even how to be the best parent I can be. Whatever it is, they have someone for you. And it's, although costs of these things can be expensive, there are a number of ways that it can be paid, given on certain insurances. So before you decide to make a decision, before you go down that road to no longer fight, I'm asking you to take one last stand. Take one more step and fight and stay, because tomorrow needs you. I need you. And everybody else who love you needs you. So stay and let's talk football. What's going on, Pride Nation? We back at it again as promised. Y'all asked for Miko to come back, and he was so kind to bless us with himself. Let me put this up here for a second. I know that you saw the half picture and you went, what the hell is going on here? And it's simply because certain people are on the clock for me, and there's a reason for it. And I think that many of you are not going to like it. So we're going to talk about what Brad Holmes had to say today about the trade, what Dan Campbell had to say about the trade. We're also going to talk about the Green Bay Packer game and pretty much anything else we could think of at that point, because I'm free balling this at this point. All right. But it is a day that I think that many people are going to go back and look at and say, dang, I wish this was different. And I wish that this had happened. So bear with me. Let me welcome my guest back. He came back over here, my man from the Questionable Podcast, my man Miko. What's going on, brother?
What's good with you, man?
Hey, you know, it's Wednesday.
Hey, man. Friday's right around the corner, bro.
It's hump day.
Listen here, man. I can't wait for Friday to get here.
I mean, tell me about it, man. Tell me about it. Yeah, I remember the venture I was telling you about. I went to one today, and I realized that it's some people out here who have really lost their mind in this game. But we'll get into that later. Let's see who's in the building with us, man. Let's see who's in the building with us. We got my man Looney Tune in the building. Friendly neighborhood Lions fan is in the building. Dr. Detroit is in the building. Oh, Dr. Detroit, when you gonna get on here with me, brother? I'm waiting for it. Okay, you know. I said, hopefully yesterday's therapy session has moved straight today. Great show yesterday. Appreciate it. I needed that. I needed that yesterday. I was like, this is ridiculous. We got my man Southwest Line in the building. Chrome is in the building. Let's see who else we got here. We got 9 drinks in the building as y'all start to come in. Put a message in there. We'll do it. Obviously, Miko showing love in the building, saying what up, everybody. You know, what's good? What it do? You know, it's funny. Miko, now that I think about it, I don't think I ever heard you or anybody on the Questionable Podcast do the what up, though. I don't think I ever heard it.
Yeah, so like I feel like what up though is for people that are really from Detroit. I I'm not from Detroit, right?
It's
I grew up
okay,
in the
but
suburbs.
if you rapping Michigan and you rap,
Mhm.
yeah, you good. Just give me the what? Just one. I just need one.
Oh, what up, though?
That's what I'm talking about. You feel me? I mean, you got to do the Greek. I mean, when you go out of this beautiful state and you say "What up, though," people are like, "Oh, you from Detroit?"
Hey, man, listen. Like, I don't know. Like, obviously, like growing up in the mid 2000s, like we had so many like "What up" changed like almost like every other
It
year,
did.
and so what's good just like fit my like personality, and I was just like, oh, I'm rolling with that. I did "What up, though" for a minute, just like everybody else, but like what's good with it has always been my go-to.
Well, it's never a party until you add more to it. And in most cases, when you start to add more to it and they come in with the beautifulest smile you ever seen, you start to feel more better about life. My man Scotty's in the building. What's going on, brother?
What's happening, guys?
Scotty, I was worried about it. I was like, damn, is he gonna make it? Is he gonna
Hey,
make it?
I made it just for you.
Listen, I'm still holding to that. We need to figure out a better name for Gion's costume. I'm giving it the Castaway, the Lion Castaway. That's what I'm giving it. I felt like the only thing he was missing was the Wilson. He had Wilson next to him. I would have told him to keep that look forever, right? But I'm giving it the Lion's Castaway. We're gonna go with that.
I like it. You should do a T-shirt.
I know, right? I'm telling you, Wilson. Hal Wilson looking like the football from the NFL.
That'd be perfect.
I'm gonna have to make that and ship that to him.
How are you doing today, man?
Man, all good. Everything's fine, dude. Happy to be here.
All right, listen. Listen. Yesterday I did a disclaimer. I was in rare form yesterday. They ticked me off. Today, I'm a little bit more excited. I had the chance to go back and watch yesterday's show, and it dawned on me something that I was like, okay, cool. So things we're going to be going over, Scotty. Clearly, what Brad Holmes said today about the trade, what Dan Campbell said about the trade, and the Packers game. I know me and Miko was talking earlier. Miko apparently is more angry today than he was yesterday.
No, I've been texting with him a little bit about it.
Yeah, I mean, I get it. So I figure we'll start there. We'll start with Miko's gripe, where yesterday Miko came in to throw the flag on me. Now today I might be the one to flag him. So we go.
No, it ain't gonna be no flag thrown over here.
Okay.
Like for me, it's doubling down on a lot of stuff that you brought up yesterday, and I just started seeing more of it after I did the podcast with you yesterday, after I did the show with you yesterday, and just the fan base and the mind trick that they're trying to put on themselves that like, yo, we didn't need TJ anyway, is killing me. This idea that TJ wasn't a valuable asset to this team, that he wasn't a quality player on this team is something that I just can't let slide. The same way I couldn't let you slide and try to say that the JMO pick wasn't a good pick. Like I can't let it slide that like TJ wasn't a valuable asset to this team. And there's this revisionist history that we seem to be doing that like, because a player isn't George Kittle or because they're not Travis Kelce or because they're not Mark Andrews, that like, oh, well, then they're not good at all. And it's this idea, like you guys got to realize that TJ brought a whole different element to this game when they needed it most on this team. Now, granted, they drafted TJ before Dan Campbell was here, before the team was quote unquote in a full rebuild as they are now, but he was supposed to be that extra piece to kind of bring the offense over the top. And if you start looking at his numbers and you start looking at how his career was trending from his rookie year to his sophomore year, like he was steadily progressing. He was steadily putting up those really high quality numbers to justify him eventually getting the payday that I think he'll eventually get. So for me, it was pissing me off the fact that people were just starting to say like, yo, we don't need him. He's not good. I told you, Luke and Scott, I know you saw it in the group chat, like this whole like catch percentage comparison between him and Ebron is the biggest, like it's the biggest mountain of BS I've ever seen. Because it's the way people are looking.
It's not true?
It's not true, bro. It's not true. I'm not saying that the percentage isn't right. It's the way that people are perceiving the percentage. Because people are seeing Eric Ebron and they're seeing a percentage and they immediately equate that to drops. And I need y'all to understand, if you didn't know this, I'm here to let you know. That percentage does not take into account drops. That is not a drops to catch percentage. It's a drops to targets percentage. A player can be targeted way more than they actually catch, but that doesn't mean that they dropped every one of those. So you literally have to look at TJ's drops numbers and compare those to Eric Ebron's drop numbers, and you'll see Eric Ebron has more. Like we all knew Eric Ebron had an issue with the drops. TJ was consistent. He was constantly getting better. And I can't tolerate the whole idea that like this person was saying that TJ was expendable. I don't think so. I don't think he was expendable. I do think we talked about it yesterday. I think it sets back your rebuild a couple years, because not only did you lose one of your great players, but you've also helped out one of your in-division rivals that are now just a few steps ahead of you.
I told you yesterday, it is something about this particular fan base that will find a way to treat ex-players like ex-girlfriends. Like they just wrong to people. And it's one of the reasons why I'm not as angry today. Because when I got a chance to sit back and look at it, I realized that many of these people were happy about it. These were the same people that I told you need to move on from Matt Patricia. And I was told I was crazy. You can't do it in a year. It takes 3 years for a rebuild. In this case, it takes 5. And they was good with it. They were happy and they were excited. And I'm like, cool. And I'll never forget this. My dad gave me some advice one time, and it was a perfect advice. He told me, he said, son, it's going to come a time in your life where you're going to meet somebody and y'all may make it and y'all may not. But when you break up with her, understand that she can do whatever she wants. And if that means she wants to date your friend, don't get upset. Let her have him. Let her be. And in my way, I look at it is to the fans who said he's expendable, that you can't pay him, you can't keep him. You really shouldn't be upset. In fact, you should be praising. He came in, gave you service, and just because he now went to the girl next door, don't get mad. Don't get mad about it. Because at the end of the day, it is what it is. You don't get to have any say-so no more than they can have any say-so on what you do. But the idea that this fan base will go out their way to find every excuse to downplay him. He's not that good of a blocker. Most tight ends in the league are not. Even your favorite ones, right? And I heard today, shout out to my people over there at Woodward Sports, but I heard today somebody on Woodward Sports compare him to Logan Thomas. I went, oh, okay, we doing that.
There already?
We doing that.
Logan Thomas, huh?
Yeah, Logan Thomas.
Yeah.
So for me, I'm in a good mood because I know how to let the girl go. I know how to let the girl go and don't care who she get with. If she got with my dad, more power to her. Dad, let me tell you, make sure she do this. Make sure she do this, Dad, because when she was with me, she did this, Dad. If she don't do this to you, she cheating you out your prospects, okay? I don't care. I don't care. I don't want to hear a single person who was okay with all this when he do certain things, because when everybody thought that Stafford was going to be trash and he won a Super Bowl, that's good for him. He didn't do it here. And instead of you asking yourself, why didn't he do it here? You decided to go on the attack. So I'm cool with it. I'm cool with it. Let me hit these few people there. I'm going to let you have it, Scott, and get your thoughts on this, because to me, I can't be upset no more. This fan base likes it. They love it. It's almost like it's their favorite food, and they just can't get enough of it. And so if that's the case, I want them to be excited. I mean, even though now I'm hearing that our new tight end is going to be Jason Kabinda, so yay, right? So it is what it is. Shout out to Motor City Thanos, who showed up in the building, and Marcus Willis and Junior Gitta just showed up in the building. Appreciate y'all all for rolling up in here. But yeah, that's where I'm at. What are your thoughts on this, Scotty? Because I haven't even got into what he said today. Haven't even got into it.
What who said today?
Hello?
Can you hear me?
Yep, I can hear you now. There you go.
What who said today, Luke?
No, I haven't even got into what Brad Holmes said today.
Oh,
we got to talk about that. Yeah.
No, it's to your point about the fans. It's the drama, right? That it's just they're addicted to this drama, and the Lions give you the drama. It's just not, in my opinion, great drama. It's the same thing over and over. I can see why they did it. I can see why people like it. I'm with Miko. I don't like it. I don't think that speeds anything up. And my question here is that my biggest question is Hawkinson's play with Stafford versus Goff. Now, I'm not comparing the two quarterbacks, but like the difference of utilization, right? Like, I mean, I really think that Hawk just wasn't utilized the same way, right, that he was before. And so he wasn't able to show everything that he can do. I mean, a couple games when his number was called, he delivered, right, Miko? I mean, we've talked about a bunch. And when he was called on, he delivered. Now, he wasn't perfect, but nobody's perfect. I mean, he's not Kelsey, okay? He's not. But he's a solid tight end that I'm kind of shocked this happened. I mean, I was surprised to see that in the Twitter feed yesterday. So I don't really get it. I don't really get it.
I think what you see is, like I said, it's hard to break up. It's hard to break up with people, and I think what you're seeing is a fan base who finds it easier to break up when you can put everything off on them and say that they're no good, no way. It wasn't about you. It was about them, right? And again, my father had a lot of good advice, and one of the advice he gave me is, even with the breakup, find out what it was about you that helped lead to that before you start to address what she did that helped lead you to it. So, you have to be able to see it. And I think when you have those type of things, some people do believe that he's expendable. Some people believe that you really can't pay him that kind of money, even though they act like salary caps don't go up, right? But
well, this is the problem. This is the problem I have with that thought process, right? Like, we're talking about somewhere between 13 to 15 million, right? The report came out that he wanted top 5 money. Has anybody gone out and looked at what the top 5 tight ends make? Because if you're trying to tell me that he shouldn't make more than David Njoku, bro, we can go fight out in the streets right now. Like, you're not going to sit here and tell me that David Njoku should be making more money than TJ Hawkinson. TJ Hawkinson's numbers in an incomplete 4 years is better than in David Njoku's full 4 years. Like, so what are we doing? Are you trying to tell me that TJ Hawkinson should make more money than Dallas Goedert? Like, people also were trying to say, well, you don't pay the third receiving option. Last time I checked, isn't Dallas Goedert the third receiving option?
Yeah.
Isn't David Njoku? I don't even know where you would rank David Njoku in the receiving order. Let's be real. Like, it's not this idea that it is like that TJ has to be a number one option to get paid number one money, because that's not what people are getting paid. Dawson Knox, I believe, is getting paid $50 million, got a $50 million contract, and he's not he probably is the third or fourth option on his team. So this idea that, like, well, if you're going to pay TJ that amount of money, that he has to be the number one option is also BS. It's not true, because teams are doing it. Teams are paying their third option, possibly even fourth if you start factoring in running backs or factoring in mobile quarterbacks. They're getting paid. So this idea that you couldn't pay TJ, or that if you paid TJ, you wouldn't be able to rebuild, those are not factual. We're talking about $13 to $15 million when you have a possible $30 million bag of trash sitting on the team.
Look, I think when you look at everything, what's going on, Mike? I think when you look at everything, you get these kind of questions where the main question is he worth the money? And I just asked the question of, the salary cap goes up every year. It balances itself out. Every player that they pay, at some point, the cap catches up to them within like 2 years. So it don't matter, and it balances itself out. However, you have to ask yourself that, was this the best trade option you can have? Now, here's where I kind of get a little lost, because today Brad Holmes comes out.
Right.
Oh, man.
Right.
I don't know why Brad Holmes said this, but he said it and got angry.
Got a little bit of an attitude. He got a little bit of an attitude
because people wanted more questions. I don't get it. So I'm just saying, he says he would have did this same trade.
Right.
This same trade, y'all. He would have did it if this team was 6-1.
Yeah, I wish somebody would have played that video. Like, why you all
I started to put
right
it up,
behind him,
but I was scared of copyright.
I wish somebody would have played that at the press conference.
Because I'm calling cap. Yeah, I'm with you. I'm calling cap on that. There's no way you're making that trade if you're 6-1. There's no way. To come out your mouth and say that you would have made that trade, even if you were 6-1 because it makes you better, it's a bunch of baloney. And I'm saying baloney because baloney is the lowest of all the cuts you can eat, in my opinion. It is not the best. Ham is delicious. Turkey is delicious. Hell, roast beef is delicious. Baloney, that's just baloney, right? So it is.
Dress it up. You can dress up some baloney, though.
You can fry some baloney.
You can also dress up a pig too, but it's still a pig, right?
That's your ham. That's your ham. What are you talking about?
I'm just saying. I find it hard to believe that you making this trade, because I'm going to tell you why I find it hard to believe. If it was that case, then why didn't you burn down the town last year and trade them? You could have traded them last year when all them teams was crowding for a tight end out there in free agency trying to do it. Why you didn't do it last year?
When TJ was coming off his best year, when he was at his most valuable.
Right. So why you didn't do it last year? Now it's not about the record because you know you effing up and you don't want nobody to talk about it. And the reality is this. The reality is for you to come out and say that statement and then get an attitude at the questions that followed, and you got support from this fan base, yeah, y'all deserve each other.
Well, Luke, we talked about this before we got on here. That comment alone, compared with Dan Campbell's comment, basically told me everything I needed to know. This regime didn't value TJ coming in. They didn't think they needed a top-tier tight end to have a functioning offense. I believe Brett Holmes ends up saying something along those lines as well, is that like, well, we still believe this offense can function at a high clip without him. Like, bro, what? You realize that you didn't score 2 weeks ago. Like what are we talking about?
We can
This idea that, like, that's all that tells me is that they didn't value him from jump. That from jump, when they knew and they start running through the roster, like, okay, who's got to get paid soon? TJ's name came up and they was like, not doing that. They didn't matter what he came to the table with. They was like, we not paying that.
Yep. It didn't matter. It did not matter. And Scotty, Scott, I mean, apparently if we were 6-1, he was pulling that same trade. This is what Brad Holmes said he was doing.
There's no way.
You're not buying either?
No.
What if I dress it up? Like how you just said, you can dress it up, right?
Hey, dress it up. Dress it up then.
You can
if we're 6-1 and we're trading Hawk for then a player, like another, like, I mean, what, like, and we're trying to win, but we're not 6-1. That's the point. That's the whole point. We're not 6-1. We're not going to be 6-1. And so yeah, let's get rid of Hawk. Like, and so we don't have to pay the tab, right? They're running out of dinner and they don't want to pay the tab is what that is right now. They're trying to scoot out of the meal and not pay.
Well, again, if when I heard him say it, as I'm watching it, really I wouldn't even watch it. I'm in the car listening to it on Sirius Radio, but as I'm listening to it on Sirius Radio and he said it, I literally pulled over. I'm like, what the hell did he? Okay, can you rewind this? What the hell did he just say? And I had to go and scramble to find it again because I could not find it. I couldn't. I'm like, yo. And then when I finally found it again, I re-listened and I said, did he just say what I'm like, bro, if you felt that strong about that you would have did that trade because it made you better, why didn't you send him to the Bears for Roquan Smith? Why didn't you do something that made more sense? Why didn't you trade him in the first place and just get him out of town? Why didn't you, if you were going to go out and do this route that you felt made you better, which I don't know how trading TJ Hockenson makes you better, because those two picks right now, I'm not so confident you can kill it, right? But it's so many questions that I walk away with, including if you were just going to draft a player to sit, then why not take the quarterback at 12? If you're just going to let him sit any goddamn way, I mean, what are we doing at this point to where you get to do something that we look at and have questions to, and now you get an attitude about it? Where are we coming to?
It's not clear. It started out clear with their goals, but it just seems to get muddier and muddier the further we get into this. What is the clear play? Like, what are you doing? Like, what was the plan? It feels like, right, he gets defensive because it was rushed. Like, what happened? Right? Maybe there's something we don't know because it's not clear. It's not clear. What's the goal? What are we going to do? What's the plan? I don't know. They don't know.
And for Mr. Marcus, who said he got in a little late, Brad Holmes said if the Lions were 6-1, he would have still made the trade of TJ Hockenson. I don't buy it. I don't buy it one bit. I just don't. John Jones says this move was Brad moving himself away from Campbell. Dan didn't want this trade to happen.
So I kind of agree with that because that was kind of like Dan's body language did not come across as somebody who was happy.
I didn't think he was happy neither. I didn't think not one bit he was happy about it. I think he looked up and went, "What the hell?"
I think it is. It's one of those things where it was brought to him of
we're trading away TJ. Did someone report this, or is this?
No, this is press conference.
If you look at his press conference, it's like he wanted to cry again, but he was trying to keep his composure.
Well, because this is how I knew he was pissed. Dan usually starts like if they make a move, if a player is hurt, if a player gets moved to IR, if a player gets released, that's usually what he starts with. Hey, I know about the news. Let's get this out the way. This man went straight to injury report. So this is who's practicing today. He tried to find some good news. He tried to find some good stuff to give people.
He passed go and got his $200. Like, damn it, I don't even want to talk about this.
And in the minute because he knew the question was coming, he was like, "So, any questions?" Yeah, TJ Hockenson. He was like, "Man."
Micro Mike says, "It's like saying I would clap those cheeks even if I was sober." What in the sweet?
That's what I was laughing at, Miko. Sorry.
I know that when it popped up, I went,
"That's
Mike."
That's exactly what that's like, though.
But
that's
you know what though?
What that's like.
But you know what though? I'll tell you what. And this is where I think you have to, Mike ass. You have to understand something. I want y'all to take this for a second. Everybody said the first year draft was not going to be held against Brad Holmes. That's what everybody said. They said that first offseason, we're going to give him a pass. We're not going to be holding because we want to see what he do with those picks from the Stafford trade. Now, let me just show y'all something. The Miami Dolphins made a trade with the 49ers. And in that trade, the Miami Dolphins acquired a multitude of first-round picks. They took those picks and they moved down from, I believe, 2 or 3 or whatever the hell it was to like 12, right? With the 49ers. And then they traded back up to, I want to say like 10 or 6. And they used one of those picks that they got from the 49ers, which I believe was the 12th pick, to get Jalen Waddles. A guy who came in that first year and set a rookie record with his play. And he played in those 16 games, right? And performed. They took the other first-round pick, paired it with some of the other picks that they got from that trade, and acquired Tyreek Hill. They took that last first-round pick that they acquired from the 49er trade, paired it with another pick that they got from that trade, and acquired Bradley Chubb. Now, all of this may seem strange to you, but I want you to understand that with that trade, for the 49ers to get Trey Lance, they swap out and give the Dolphins Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddles, and Bradley Chubb. Many of you may not be impressed with Bradley Chubb. Some of y'all may be like, well, I ain't too big on Waddles and Tyreek Hill. And that's all cool. That's all fine and dandy. I'm not mad at you. But I want you to pay attention to what they did. They came in as a general manager and said to himself, what is the weakest part of my team? Which at that time was the offense. And so he addressed the weakest part of his team by aggressively going to get things for his quarterback and making it a strength. Now let's flip that back over to your general manager, because we can't talk about Bruno. Yeah, you see, Bruno moves from people. At first, Bruno used to be Aiden Hutchinson, and now Bruno has now become Brad Holmes. We can't talk about Bruno. So since we can't talk about Bruno, I'm going to let you know that this is the time if you don't want to hear it. I'm just step out the room. But we're going to talk about Bruno for a minute. Bruno goes out and trades your quarterback of Matthew Stafford to the Rams. And many of you praised it. You danced in the streets. You celebrated as if though you just won the lottery. And he goes on to win a Super Bowl. And what you get in return with one of the picks you got from that trade, you get a cornerback who's now been turned safety and somehow can't discover the fucking field. Don't worry about it. It happens. I totally get it, right? What do you do with the next pick? You go out. You trade up 20 spots. You take a receiver who ain't playing right now. We don't know what he's going to be at this moment. We can speculate. We can pray on it. Hell, even put some black or white magic on it. Don't make a difference. Don't make a difference. But in the meantime, you got him. So right now, I got an asset I can't use and an asset I don't know if I really want to use, and a cornerback now turned safety. And now you got more draft picks coming up next year. And let's say he turned that draft pick into Bryce Young, which all of you seem to want. Although it's funny because one of the things that he also took to help out that offense was a tight end. But we're going to leave that alone. And when you go through and you see it, it's like, hey, this is what we're doing. Shout out to my man Tim over there, Maniac Tim, and my Facebook user who says he loves the show. Appreciate you. You go over there and you look at it, and the first thing I want you to do is understand he directly targeted the weakest part of the Dolphins. Brad Holmes, on the other hand, has made trades in the draft. And when you look at his most memorable trade that he's made, it's been Matthew Stafford. And you got that Michael Brockers, who now is a healthy scratch. You then turn around and you look at the other trade for Trinity Benson. You look at the free agent pickups of Kadeo Hodge. You look at the other pickups of bringing back Alex Anzalone, Tim Boyle, who's now on your practice squad that you brought back. You brought back David Blau. You look at all the different moves that he's made. And all of you celebrated, was excited about it. But let me show you how crazy this is. What real general managers usually do. Isn't it funny that the Seattle Seahawks, another general manager, because I got examples for days. Another general manager trades away their franchise quarterback. And the one thing that they wanted to be a part of that deal was not only picks, but a goddamn tight end. As that same tight end, who is the security blanket to a quarterback who may or may not be overachieving. I'm going to say he's overachieving, but he now has a simple out that he's using quite often when shit goes to the toilet. And many of you are going to argue, well, that's coaching. Okay. My question to you is this. When are you really going to evaluate your general manager? Because right now, when you stack them up to the other people, even when you look at the newer general managers who just came in, they're doing things that you can't say your general manager is doing. And he has the audacity to tell you, the people, that if the record was 6-1, he's still pulling the trigger on that trade when they got phone calls last year for TJ Hockenson, and he didn't pull the trigger.
Can we get the Rams GM on the line and figure out if Brad Holmes was awake in those meetings that they were having?
I don't think he was.
Because y'all remember when we hired Brad Holmes from the Rams, like there was this idea like, well, the Rams be out here trading draft picks. They go out and they flip picks for impact players. And there was that bit of hope of like, oh, Brad Holmes gonna come in here and flip some picks, and get us some actual impact players. I get it not doing it the first year because the roster was trash. You had to do a complete teardown. But he's doing the opposite. He is taking impact players and then trading them for unknown commodities. And that's essentially what we're doing at this point. Like, I get the Stafford trade. As much as we can sit here and some people will still nitpick it, I get it. The dude didn't want to be here and you well, we're not going to just let you walk away. You got 2 firsts out of it. Great job. You flip TJ for a second and a future third. So now everybody, all eyes are on that second round pick. You got to get value. And based off the history of this organization, that ain't the pick that's been too kind to us.
Not the second round.
Like,
you mean to tell me you don't like Levi Onwuzurike?
Man, listen here. Jelani Tavai?
You didn't like Jelani? I mean, I'm just asking. Thought I put it out there.
That's the problem that I have is like you're taking like a commodity, and we can sit here and debate whether TJ's worth the money, whether he's not, but you had that commodity. If you want to say that's a luxury, it's a luxury, but it's a luxury you already have. And Luke, like you've been saying, you would have had him next year anyway. So it's not like there's a huge rush to pay him.
You had all the rights. You had all the power and all the rights, and you chose something different. Steve-O says Brockers is required for a future 7th round pick. I'm not really getting on B-Rad for that. I am, because you took that contract on too. Remember, they restructured the contract, which then made most of that money guaranteed, and that was all done by him. So when
we talk about cutting him next year,
and now you're talking about cutting him, and he's a healthy scratch. So not only did you trade a draft prospect, a draft asset, right? Because we all know right now that, hey, you know, you can find talent late in the draft, right? You know, we found Rodriguez in the 6th, right? So my attitude to it is this. If you did this and then you turn around and restructured the contract like he did with Jared Goff, because what he really did was this, and I'm going to tell y'all what he did, but y'all don't see it because y'all think he did so great. What he did was he doubled down on Jared Goff being his franchise quarterback. And he thought that the offense would outscore everybody and that the defense at minimum would give up 20-something points. Well, unfortunately for him, the defense is giving up an arm, a leg, a heart, a kidney. In fact, if you need an organ, you probably can get it from this goddamn defense. They're giving up everything, right? And so when he doubled down on that and it backfired, he became frustrated. Sean McVay, meanwhile, over there, is planning his soon-to-be vacation as soon as Stafford quits, right? As soon as Stafford, Donald, and Cup is out the door, he's right with him, planning his retirement. Meanwhile, he's thinking, shit, I'm glad this guy's taking him off my hands. I can't with him no more. And all I'm saying to you is this. At some point, you're going to have to question your general manager. You're going to have to. Who comes in and look at this team, at the Patricia, and say, you know what? All the problems are on offense. Just score more. Who says that? No one. Because the defense was the biggest problem. And that's all I'm putting out there. We got a guy, Night Owl, 1978, says, I will lose all faith in Brad Holmes if he ignores free agency again. If our plan is to have a bunch of rookies fix the defense next year, then we're screwed. Well, that's his plan. He'll go out and get 1 or 2 significant players on free agency now, but I think we got another problem because I am now looking at it and I'm saying you have a history of losing. And with a history of losing, and you just traded away a guy versus paying him, who in the fuck is going to come here for the money you're going to pay him if you're not going to pay them top dollar? Who coming here?
That was a concern I had. That was a concern I had during free agency, Scotty. I don't know if you remember, like we had it. We talked about it on our show where it was
who
like,
wants to come here?
Who wants to come here when you're only handing out 1-year deals? Like nobody's getting a 2.
No.
Like they're not preaching like faith and confidence in nobody. Like you just out here just 1-year deals. Everybody got to prove it. You're gonna get high profile players that are gonna be like, bro, I ain't got to prove nothing to you. It's either 3 years or nothing.
Right. And then listen, on a 3-year deal, I still want top dollar. Why? Because you are a dumpster fire. You guys are getting they got too many examples. You got rid of Slay. You got rid of Diggs. You got rid of Quinn. You got rid of Sue. You didn't want to pay these people. Why would I come to you and not get paid?
It's a common theme too. I don't know if fans recognize it's a common theme with all those players. It's this disillusion that the unit is good without those players, right? Like that the unit itself is good. That regime convinced himself that Ndamukong Suh was just a piece instead of understanding that he was the central cog in that machine that helped that D-line excel. It's a misconception that like Slay is just a piece of your secondary. It's a misconception that Diggs and GQ are just pieces when it's like, no. They're the reason that unit is successful. It's a misconception that like, oh, well, your offense anybody can run this offense. And it's like, no, it's Matthew Stafford actually like pulling rabbits out of everybody's hat to make sure that you're at least in a game. it's a misconception that like, oh, well, TJ is just a piece of your offense. Our offense can function perfectly fine without TJ. All right, we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah.
Because like there's tape on Amon-Ra now. They know what Amon-Ra does work.
Right. Exactly.
There's tape.
That's where I was gonna go. Yeah.
There's tape on Josh Reynolds. And not to mention Josh Reynolds is basically losing every body part he possibly can after every game.
One piece at a time.
He should go to the Lions defense. They'll give it back.
Oh, bro, he gonna need a donation. By the end of the season, they're gonna need to run a special donation for Josh Reynolds.
Now, not a Lions fan, but those Pistons, Chance Reddy. He says, Luke, you also applauded Brad for bringing in those 1 year prove it type deals for free agency. Yes, I did, because I thought that he was going to take those 5 picks that you had in the top 97 and walk out with at least 4 impactful players. You didn't even have to move. You could have literally sat there, had Jaquan Brisker. You could have literally sat there and had whatever other linebacker you want. Hell, the Buffalo Bills got a linebacker that they got in the late round. I can't think of his damn name. He's balling for them, right? And you could have just sat and got all of that. You could have still got Pascal. You could have did all of that and didn't have to do a single thing. You could have had Aiden Hutchinson, came back with the next pick, took Jaquan Brisker or Lewis Seen, whoever you chose, then came back in the second round where you was picking 34. Took whatever the hell you wanted. You could have took your linebacker right there. You could have literally just did whatever you wanted. And you trade up and took a guy that we couldn't help. I did not see that coming. I gave him too much benefit of the doubt, and he proved me wrong. And that's my problem. That's my fault. That's me. I own that. That was all on me. There's no reason for me to continue to blindly give it to him when I have more information. Grandma always says, when you know better, do better. And I know better now. I know what he can do with these picks because he doesn't do anything with them. He's not using them appropriately. If you look at our roster right now, there's a bunch of a bunch of meh to good players. And that's few far in between. And when you look at the problem when he first came here, it was always defense. And 2 years into his tenure, it's still defense. And after trading TJ Hockenson, he puts out an alert that he's looking for what? Ding, 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 defensive backs, which is what I thought he was going to take based on what he said in the history and the patterns. So at this point, you're right. You're right. I did applaud. And for that, I need not only for Scotty and Miko to throw a flag on the play, Chat, light my ass up with a flag. Flag on the play. I was wrong.
Flagged.
I was wrong. And I accept it. Scotty, when you look at this team going forward, because I want to kind of get away from the trade per se, I really think the focus should be on Brad Holmes and the clock being on him. But I know we don't want to talk about Bruno, so I'm going to try to move away from Bruno. I'll give it another year, and they'll be talking about fire his ass. Right now, the focus is on Dan Campbell, but the reality is, even if you fire Dan Campbell, what head coach is going to come here? You fire Dan Campbell, and he's been here for 2 years, and I got to come here, and I'm looking at this damn roster. I don't have a quarterback. My defense, pray for me.
I mean...
Yeah, I got draft capital, but I'm not so sure that the guy that's going to hire me, I really want to work with him. He's going to go out and give me somebody who's a captain. No, they got gunshot wounds, they amputees and everything. He don't care, right? It's all about the opportunity. I get it. But just Scotty, going forward, how do the Lions like?
This is exhausting.
It is. How do we improve?
I don't know that we do. For me, the clock started this past draft on Brad. I mean, he had to hit that number 2 pick. He had to show it. I don't know. And this next draft is a must win. I mean, he's got to do better. It's not looking great. I'm not really happy. I don't know what else to say. We've been saying it, and now we're here again with
it happens. It happens.
Yes, Luke did not like trading up for Jamison Williams. I still kind of let's wait and see on that one. I will see, but
yeah, I mean, all we can do is wait and see. While we're waiting,
Yeah. While we're waiting, we're just going to keep losing. So
meanwhile, back at the farm.
Go back to the farm. Yeah. I don't know. If they really do, I don't think they can get rid of Dan. They got to hold on to what they have right now, and they have to. I mean, like I said, I give him till the end of the season. I mean, I know Goff's not our guy. We'll see. I just don't know. I mean, look back, the beginning of the Miami game was a different team. The second half was then another different team. It's like, how many different teams do we have within this one team? And it starts with Holmes and then Campbell, and I just don't know what they're doing. It's not consistent. It's consistently bad. It's consistently confusing decisions by leadership. So how do you think the players are supposed to feel? Dan can only get those guys to rally like so hard for so long, and they're like, where'd Hawkinson going? You know what I mean? Like Goff can't be happy about that. You know what I mean? Like what are we supposed to do? And Brad Holmes getting annoyed today, that's a flag. Like, that's a flag.
The audacity.
Flag.
You do something that you know we're going to question, and now you upset. Come on now.
I mean, so that's generally how I feel about it. Not a ton to say because we've said it, but
no, I feel it. I mean, Steve-O says, I guess it's safe to say that Luke didn't like the trade of James. I would have loved it if he played.
It looks like he's not going to play now. Like,
I mean, at this point, just think about this. What would be the most craziest thing you can do is put Jamison Williams in so he can get some reps and he get re-hurt. I'm telling you, I'm gonna laugh. Like it's.
I told you. I told you yesterday. Just put him in there just so we can make sure that Goff can't get the ball to him. Like I just need a couple more underthrows and be like, all right, we're good. Check that up. That he's gone.
I'm just saying. Until he play, I don't know why everybody's so hyped for it. He ain't played. When we took Kevin Johnson, could you imagine we took Kevin Johnson second overall and had to wait until the end of the year for him to play a game? People they would have rioted. They'd be like, "Are you fucking kidding me?" So yeah. I mean, they cried when he got hurt. He came in and then got hurt. We cried like, God, we can't get a break. So I get it. But I think it's funny, and I had to point it out, and it is what it is. It says Williams is going to play the season. I'm sure he is. I told you it wouldn't be until November. I said that. I was like, he's not playing until November. What are you talking about? I had one guy who was telling me all the time, what are you talking about, the recovery time? And I'm like, oh, okay, so now we're surgeons now. Got it. We're medical people. I didn't know that you went to medical school. What school did you go to? Right? I didn't know this. And so now those same people, what are you talking about, man? I'm just not trying to do it. It just is what it is. And I don't think the fans realize that we just did a rebuild inside of a bill. How in the hell does that happen?
Yeah, I told you yesterday. They hit the reset button twice.
Rebuild and a build, but it's a tear down, guys.
Right.
A tear down.
Like, how did that happen?
Which is it? The lack of consistency.
Listen. And then listen, Foot Clan makes a good point. I want to make sure we point this out because I love good points. He says you don't start your rebuild without a quarterback. Look at the 2021 draft class. All right. So, based on what you're saying, the Lions never started their rebuild.
No.
Or did they really believe that they was rebuilding with Jared Goff?
Oh, I think
those are the two questions I think come up.
Holmes thought he could.
He did.
He hoped. No, I don't think he thought. I think he hoped. He hoped
he could. Yeah. Well,
he hoped that he could. I think he was hoping that he could skip the line on that. Right? If you can skip the line and not have to draft a quarterback and not have to do all that, like wondering and developing a young guy and have a proven veteran that's gone to the Super Bowl.
I'm sorry, Miko. What the hell? Who's the dude at the bottom? Fucking excellent beard. Dude in the top right look jacked.
Not bad.
Not that jacked.
You over there pumping iron while doing the show, and he over there grooming the shit out of that beautiful beard.
Appreciate it.
Hey, so Adam, in case you didn't know, they talk all Detroit sports too, but they talk a lot of football, and they are the Questionable Podcast. And I'm pretty sure you've seen the T-shirts. I know that Easy had one on, which was awesome and dope. So yeah, you know him. He said, "What's up, fellas?"
I'm always dropping stuff off for D-Mac. Yeah.
so you know him real well. But yeah, now that you mentioned it, that damn beard is excellent. I always noticed it, but I didn't want to be the one to say it. But since you brought it up, I'm just gonna go with it. I'm not saying yours don't look good, you know, Miko. I think yours look good, but fuck, his shit is perfectly like done. You know, so I'm just putting it out there.
No, man.
Joseph Murdoch says it's a debuild on the rebuild.
Oh wow.
Bro, it is. It's a relaunch on the rebuild in the middle of it. Like they got halfway through this and they were like, "Oh, we can't skip the line on this." And now here we are. It's got to be full rebuild. It's got to be
Adam.
Adam said, "I can't grow mad at Lonnie. Gonna think I'm ISIS. I can't. Not today."
Hey, man.
All right, I'll do it for you. Keep it.
Oh my god. But yeah, I think at this point, for him to come out and make those statements and say, if the record was 6-1, that's bull. That's hot garbage. And I think for anybody to play this game of let's attack our former players, please stop. Please stop. We do this with everybody. We did it with Calvin. We did it with Barry. We do it with everybody. Just stop. Sometimes people break up, and it's okay. It's okay. I want to talk about the Packers game though. Because
let's talk about it.
I went from feeling like that was going to be a win to just being like,
you guys roll. Luke, I got to head out. I only had a minute.
I appreciate you, Scotty. I appreciate you.
It. Thank you, everybody.
Scotty, before you leave, though, you got to do it. You got to tell them where to find you at and how to get in touch with those beautiful T-shirts, brother.
Well, first off, your show yesterday was great. Both you guys. Great job.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
It was a fun listen. So that's great. And yeah, you can find us at questionabletees.com. That's TEEZ. And the Questionable Podcast. We do it every week, Mondays, and please come check it out when you guys get a chance. Yeah, we got
it's linked in the description. It's already in the description. It's on every video.
Lots of Lions gear, Red Wings gear. We're starting to do some Piston stuff. We do a bunch of custom artwork. We do all our own artwork, and and we're excited. So anybody needs anything, reach out to us. Again, Luke, thank you for having us. Really appreciate having us on and supporting us and everything we're doing. And I'm going to listen. I obviously got to run, but I can't wait to talk about here.
We got to talk about the Packers game, but I appreciate you for coming through, man. Appreciate you guys.
Appreciate you guys. All right, take care.
Keep the beard up. That's the advice of Adam.
It's going nowhere. It's going nowhere. All right, bye, you guys.
All right, appreciate it, man.
So obviously the Lions play the Packers this week, and I really felt good that we could win this game. And I'm not even being funny, but I looked at the line, and I'm pretty sure it changed. I swear to God, after that trade, it changed. Obviously, going into Sunday, yes, we lost with a tight end.
Yeah.
But do you feel confident that the Lions will win that game now, Miko?
I don't know.
No chance?
No, my confidence plummeted. I'm sorry. Because, this offense is – Jared Goff can only do so much with so little. He's not the kind of quarterback. Going into the season, we knew he wasn't the quarterback to elevate those around him. So you're expecting me now to believe that you take away a weapon and he's somehow going to elevate this offense or keep it at as Brad Holmes says, the same? No, that's not happening. You're losing a target, so therefore more attention defensively is going to somebody. And if St. Brown's healthy right now, it's going to him.
Yep. Right. Because he zeroes in on his favorite targets. He zeroed in on them. So you're right. I think that they're going to go in that route. Now, they did say that Swift is going to be healthy. I do think that having that run game can help. But the problem is we still can't stop the run. And although we did trade T.J. Hockenson, we didn't trade to bring nothing to help us on the defensive side of the ball. So at that point, I'm not so sure that we can stop the goddamn run. And I expect for the Lions to have a rough outing. I just think that it's no way that you can now make it to where teams know that your number one target is this person. And your running back is coming back, but shit, you tried to trade Jamal Williams. I'm sure he ain't too motivated no more. So,
well, it's we now know what this offense is going to be. It's going to be very heavy on Jamal and Swift. And then they're going to try to take their shots, right? They're going to try to find Amon-Ra. They're going to probably try to do some trickery, some end arounds and stuff like that. But that's what this offense is going to become. Remember what they were last year, near the end of the season where they started doing way more trick plays and we're going to do double passes and stuff like that. Now this offense has to work harder because scheming for these guys is easy. You know where Amon-Ra operates. You know what they like to do with Josh Reynolds. All you basically got to do is don't let Khalif get deep on a couple throws. And just be in phase. He's 5'8". That's all you got to do with him. And now I have to hope and like pretend as though James Mitchell or Brock Wright is somehow going to manifest a
Don't forget Jason
Kabenda.
Game. Don't forget Jason Kabenda, who's going to be playing some tight end.
Bro, I like Jason Kabenda as a player, but Jason Kabenda wasn't getting touches before. All you've basically done is like Swift doesn't have to pass protect anymore. Like that's honestly, that's all you've basically done by bringing Jason Kabenda back, is that Swift doesn't have to pass protect nearly as much, because now you can actually probably play him in the slot and actually let him go out there and run some routes.
But it is what it is. So for the people who just joined us, shout out to him, like Anthony, who just said, "Evening, Luke and Miko. Sorry, only just got finished with our show." I was listening and I had to start this one because I yesterday my son was mad as all get out. He's like, "We played one game of hide and seek." I'm like, "Good grief!" Like, he took that stuff serious, man. That dude passionate about some damn hide and seek. When you
gotta tell him to step his game up. You guys tell him to step his game up with the hiding. Then the game lasts longer that way.
Well, the crazy part about it this time though, he decided to choose a very interesting hiding place, and luckily I got a smart dryer because the thing started beeping the moment it was too much weight in there. And I was like, "What the hell is going on?" He goes and gets in the dryer. I'm like, "Why would you do this?" So yeah. He gave up his spot the minute that thing started beeping. He acted like he wasn't beeping at all. He's like, "Shit, my dad's not going to know I'm here." So it is what it is. But, yeah, I mean, look, the link is in the description. If you want to join in and have a conversation, I'm all down for it. Let's get her done. It's in there so you can talk about it. Rick Ritchie says, "Now we're winning for sure. Laugh Out Loud can't wait to see Hutch get Rodgers." Okay, so I was talking to somebody the other day. I was just curious. The person basically that I was talking to, we all know each other. But we was talking, and he's on TV. He's from Detroit. But I'm talking about a particular person. But anyway, he told me that pressures only count when it results in a negative effect. And I said, "What do you mean?" He says, "If you pressure the quarterback, causing him to run out the pocket, and he gets a first, that's an unscheduled play. That's a good pressure." He said, "But if you pressure the quarterback and the quarterback is throwing and he throws the ball and actually delivers the ball and it's a completion, that's not a pressure. You did nothing. The job failed."
I've been saying it all year because, again, and I'm not trying to bash Aiden, but like everybody loves to praise Aiden's pressure numbers. And I'm like, pressures tell me that you just weren't out here doing nothing on the field. That lets me know that you at least were like doing like the first part of your job, which is like you were tasked with getting to the quarterback, but you didn't like excel at it. Right. You showed up to work and you put in like, effort, but you didn't put in like maximum effort. You didn't finish the job. So I'm never a huge proponent of pressure unless it does, like you said, like unless it involves like some sort of negative consequence, some sort of negative play to happen.
My man Rick says, "I'm from Detroit, but I live in Florida. Still love my Lions." Man, listen, if you got the love for them, we got people from the UK who just popped in. I see you in the back, Greasy. But we got people from the UK, like Anthony.
Oh, shit.
He's in the UK and he rapping the damn Lions. So you do it. Do the damn thing. Anthony, what's going on, brother?
Hey, Luke. How's things? I feel like it's been a while since I've chatted with you.
How are you feeling 24 hours? Because I know you was yesterday. You was in the bed. You didn't get a chance to. I mean, you went, but I don't think you went as hard as you really wanted to. I think you're trying to control yourself. And let me try before you go into that. Let me see if I can get Greasy in because I see it's kind of sticking. Greasy, no, Greasy, you gotta get it together. I see you on the screen, but it's not doing nothing. All right, Anthony, we got to talk about the Packers game. Then I give you your chance to give your thoughts on the T.J. Hockenson situation. But the Packers, I mean, what is your confidence levels looking like now against the chances for the Lions to beat the Packers, a team that's ailing? And I want to tie it all back into why I brought the pressure thing up, because that particular guy told me that if you watch the game against the Buffalo Bills and the Packers, he said it wasn't the pressure that disrupted the Packers playing; it was how often they put them on the ground and hit them. So, what do you have to say about that? What is your confidence looking like, Anthony?
You know me, look, I always try and look on the positive side of things with this, but I mean, I'm not looking at the weakness in their team at the minute. I'm looking in the one in my own, and every week I'm seeing a team that shows that it can play football, but it can't play it for a full game. And when you can't play football for a full game, you can't win games. And it's the most frustrating aspect of all with this side. And I've been thinking about this a lot, and it's just, I don't think the leadership's there on this team to get it over the line, to be able in those high pressure situations to come up and help. And yes, I know Green Bay is struggling and whatnot, but we are struggling as well. And at the end of the day, they're the ones who are likely to be able to turn it on quicker than we are, go from being bad to being good. And, I just don't have much faith in this team at the minute. I don't see the guy who, because like I say, when they're winning, they struggle because they have to deal with the weight of expectation of trying to win a game. There isn't that leader on the field to calm them down, make sure they're doing their jobs right, to make the big play, to stop the momentum going against them. There's just not that guy who can do it. And then when you're behind,
I thought you liked the Ellis Anzalone. You don't like Ellis Anzalone?
No, I do not.
Okay.
And then when you're behind, we don't have a Stafford on this team. How many times did Stafford pick this team up by his hands and drag them over the finish line? Jared Goff, for as good as he's been, doesn't do that. He doesn't inspire that confidence in people to come from behind and be able to win games. So if you can't win when you're ahead because you can't deal with the pressure, and you can't win from behind because you ain't got the leaders to stand up and make those plays, you ain't going to win football games. And I think that's the problem. They're rooted deep at the minute. So I don't really have, much expectation for the Packers game because they're bad, but I don't see where the guys on our side are going to stand up for them and win that game for us.
I think it might be better for us to try to figure out what game do they win. I mean, good grief. Like, do they beat the Jets now, or you know what I mean? Like who do they beat?
You've got to beat the Bears. You've got to beat the Bears as a sign of pride. They have won 3 games, but they are tanking. They've just gotten rid of their 2 best defensive players. They are actively tanking at this point. And if you can't beat a team who is actively tanking when you're trying to convince your fans that you're on a rebuild and you're on the way up, that's pride at that stake.
I think we could argue though that the Lions are tanking. Right, like
yeah, and it's I hate it. It's not even November, or it's just at the usually it's like we get to the end of November, then the season's over. We ain't even made it to November this time. It's like it's frustrating.
It's frustrating, yeah, because obviously it's a long shot that they could put together any type of win streak where they like end the season on a positive with more wins than losses, but. It's crazy to see them pack it in this early. It does feel extremely early for them to be packing it in.
Yeah, that's what upset me the most. You just gave up, and I could not do it. Grizzy, I keep adding you in, but I can't hear you. I keep adding you, but it's not saying anything. Let me hit the chat up really quick while we're doing this. I want to make sure I go through, and I think Grizzy is back. So let's see. It says Green Bay wins by double digits. It says, but Sheila says to be patient. Well, I think most people are going to be patient. They're happy about what's going on here. Let me see if my man Grizzy, you here?
Yeah, I'm here, bro.
All right, there you go.
I'm here, bro.
Now look, I sent you the message. I sent you the link yesterday on IG. You never popped in on me. I said, okay, what happened?
I was in the comment section.
I lost him again. Okay, he back. All right. So listen. What is your confidence level? Lions getting ready to play the Packers. You think they're gonna beat the Packers? Oh my God, I'm losing them again.
Man, for all I know, the game gonna end up. Oh my God,
Grizzy, I'm losing you, brother. When you got I don't know if you had a bad area or what's going on, but I just didn't hear nothing. I'm sorry. Steve-O says this is the only team I felt like they are going to lose when they are up 21-7. Damn, what?
That's
tough. That's tough right there. It says, yo, just confirmed TJ Hockenson checked out, didn't want to be in Detroit anymore, had to trade him. All right, I'll let Anthony start off. Anthony already dropped his head, and Miko had to take a second to think about what he just heard. You got it, Anthony. Start you off here.
Why do we do this? Why do we, when players leave, when we trade them, why do we do our best to drag the name through the dirt? He said the other week himself he didn't want to be traded. He wanted to be in Detroit, but he would understand if he was traded. That was a week ago. He's not checked out. at all. I don't know where the confirmation's coming from, but this besmirching players when they leave just to make the trade seem better is wrong. That's why fans do it. Make it seem like the player's unhappy, he's asking for too much money. I've seen it all the time. Oh, TJ's asking for more money than Kittle. He's asking for more money than Kelsey. He's asking for 18 million a year. That's the way to turn fans off a player when it seems like the player's a money grabber. No one knows. No one knows what he wanted. Now it turns out he did want some decent money, but all this sort of stuff that comes out is just wrong. Why? Why are we turning on him now? He didn't do anything wrong while he were here. He had injuries, and it didn't pan out how we wanted it to. But I don't get this going after the player afterwards just to try and make the trade seem more palatable. Oh yeah, they traded him because he was a bad egg. He wasn't a bad egg at all. We've traded a young player who wanted to be here. That's what annoys me, because we've got vets on this team, Brockers, who couldn't be arsed less. He just really doesn't want to be here. I don't think Anzalone cares that much, to be fair. We've got other players who have checked out. You look at Julian Aquari, look at Austin Bryant. They're doing nothing week on week. Armani looks like he doesn't want to be here. And we're going after these players who we're trading. There are enough players on this team who have checked out. Don't go after the ones who have left. But I hate this trade. Full stop. I hate the hell out of it. And I still don't like it now. And me and Matt are going to be arguing about it till the end of time because we have two different opposing views on this one. But I'm sick and tired of our young talent going elsewhere. When does it stop? When do we start? I mean, we get some nice, and we don't even get draft picks this year. We get draft pick swaps. This thing with Detroit fans, and the draft is our Super Bowl, as they say, and we love draft picks so we can enjoy our Super Bowl. That's all we care about is draft picks, draft picks, draft picks. Oh, it's 2 spots higher. Do it, whatever. And it comes at the expense of common sense and that in the end. You've still got 18 months over, TJ. You've still got a chance to see whether you can do something. You'll have to pay $9 million next year, not 14, not 16, not 18. You can have another year with him. You can still get something for him. Value might not be as high, but you've got a young player on your team who wants to be here. And what we're doing, just trading it away again. And people are like, yeah, that's fine. What is it going to be? Akuda next? We're going to get half a good season out of him, and we're going to trade him? And then is it going to be Penai the time after that? At some point, you've got to want to try and keep your young talent who you constantly draft and build a team and add to them. What have we got instead? Oh, we've got a higher pick in the draft. Well, we've got another hole to fix now. We've got to go out and get tight end. And the stuff with James Mitchell. You know me, Luke. I love James Mitchell. Did me and you not disagree on our draft stream? When we drafted him,
I told you the stupidest pick
exactly.
in the draft. And you was on my head.
You told me it was a stupid pick, and I said I loved it. I love James Mitchell. Wow, where has all this support from James Mitchell come from? I've been fighting almost a lone battle saying what he's going to be on this team and how good he's going to be. Everyone now, James Mitchell's going to get all these touches. He's going to be elite. He's going to be all pro. This was not there before TJ left, and I can guarantee you that now. Coping stuff, people coping. Oh, he's going to be fine because letting TJ's wrong. You know that he's a big part of this. You've got to go and spend a pick on tight end in the draft now, and you've no extra picks. So you've created an extra hole for yourself. Well done, Lions. Congratulations. And I'm sorry, Luke, I don't like it. And I've got to say my piece.
I didn't expect him to go off like that. I'm in a good mood, but that was needed. Miko,
I'm in full agreement.
Ramon Nue say, yo, just confirmed. TJ Hockenson checked out. Didn't want to be in Detroit anymore. Had to trade him.
Yeah, I call BS.
He literally said last week, I want to be in Detroit, but I'll understand if they trade me. Literally him, the man himself, last week said that. I mean, what more evidence do you want?
It goes back to what I said earlier, Luke, with TJ knew. If you want to say he was checked out, it's because he went in there with his representation. They told him the number, and he probably got laughed at. They probably were like, "No, we're not doing that. We're not doing that. Hey, I want $14 million." Because people love to say like he wants more than Kittle. It's literally 13 to 15. There's a middle ground. There's a 14 in there somewhere. Like
you mean 13 and a half could be, we can't say 13 and a half. Can't say 14.2.
No, but it's always, he wants more than Kittle. First of all, we don't know that either. But even if he did, you didn't even you clearly didn't value him as such to go into that negotiation with good faith of like, you know what, let's talk to TJ, let's see what he wants. And then basically, if you don't think if he does come in there and say like, hey, I want $16 million, shouldn't your response to be prove it on the field? We're going to give you every opportunity to prove that you're worth $16 million. But no, what we get instead is TJ running 3 and 4 yard routes and then having to make magic happen to get extra yak to put his numbers up even higher, which he still did.
Listen, first of all, shout out to Dirty Glove Williams for this. He says we gonna win in the metaverse. In the metaverse, we can get a win. Now, this is according to Ramon the New Age. He says, "Nah, I can't blame him. This is per Detroit.Lions podcast." It says insider info just dropped 15 minutes ago. Now, okay, all right. Can I please play devil's advocate for a moment? Just stay with me. Everything that most businesses do is based on data. They use statistical data and polls to kind of figure out where people are at. I'll give you a perfect example. I'm a Sony PlayStation guy, right? I play the PlayStation. Sony has lost a lot of subscribers since they changed the way they do their PS Plus system, right? They've lost a significant number of subscribers. I'm talking about in the millions. And they got that number by doing different polls and figuring out where the losses were and things that happened. Now, stay with me. When the census right now is that majority of the fans are upset, the season ticket holders are upset that you trade away one of our more talented players. What do you think is going to happen when I come out with fake person now named Anonymous Insider and say, yeah, he didn't want to be here no more. He had it in Detroit. Now, if that to be the case, let's say I do believe it, why not ask the question of what was it that he didn't like about it in Detroit? Which it could have been, which was the same take that I took with Miko, which was they never wanted him in the first place. They never valued him or had made him a priority. And for that reason, that might have been why. But the first question you have to ask yourself is, what's the easiest way to douse a fire? Say that the person didn't want to be here, which is something that seems to come out every time a player is traded, cut, or removed from this team. You can only use the same excuse so many times before I start to call bullshit on it. And so in this case, flag on the play, I call bullshit on it. What do you think about that, Anthony? Do you buy the fact that an insider who all of a sudden discloses that he don't want to be here?
So all, DLP and amongst that and all the beat writers last week all said that they were told that a coach was getting fired and none of them said Aubrey Pleasant. So their sources weren't very good. You can go look at it on the beat writers' tweets. They said, oh, I was told by my sources someone was getting fired, but the name wasn't Pleasant. So, yeah, I will listen to the player himself. Again, TJ has done nothing, and I mean nothing, to say that he will come out and straight lie here. His career, he has been an outstanding professional whilst with us. And you're just going to immediately call him a liar when he leaves, saying, oh, I wanted to be here. Are you just going to do that? Trust me, I'm going to believe the player. He's given his everything for us. And yes, he's had his problem with injuries and that, but this ain't his fault. Amon-Ra gets all the targets at the minute in the passing game. TJ has been phased out, because Amon-Ra gets all the targets, and that's not on TJ. I'm not going to hold any ill will against him for leaving on this. I believe he wanted to be here as a player. And, as Miko was saying, you've got 18 months to say, right, go out and prove you can be our guy. We're going to put you on the 5th-year option. We're going to give you that. We're going to give you the rest of the season. You go out and show us that you can be worthy of what you're asking for. Instead, you just get rid of him at the first opportunity and say, look, we're going to pick swap with you. But again, you've let one of your best young players go. You've accrued no extra draft capital. Yes, the physical value of the pick may have gone up, but you've got another hole to fill in your roster now and no extra picks to fill it. James Mitchell will be a good tight end for the Detroit Lions, I have no doubt, but he won't be a tight end one like TJ Hawkinson was. You still need a guy to come in and be the elite level blocker that you want going forward. So
now Anthony, I want to make sure, because I know somebody has said this to me before. When you say that they did not get any extra picks, they just picked swap. Explain that a little bit further. I know what you're saying, but I want to make sure that the people who may not have caught on to that, because what they're hearing is look, man, we got a 2nd and a 3rd for TJ Hawkinson. That's what they're hearing in terms of the narrative, instead of hearing that we got a 2nd and a 3rd for TJ Hawkinson, a 2 4th or a 4th and a 5th possibility.
Yeah, so we've given away our 4th pick in the draft this year coming. So that's probably around 110 somewhere. You like your pick like that. We've got the 2nd round pick. So depending on where Minnesota are, apparently they're going to be a pretty decent team this year. You're probably going to be looking in the 50s, maybe probably in the 50s somewhere. So your pick's gone from 110 to 50. So yeah, you're going to be able to pick a better caliber player, but you're still only going to be able to pick one player. You're not going to be able to get extra players out of this, if you get what I mean. And now tight end is a need. So if you use that on a tight end, you're kind of just recycling your talent again. It's like when Slay left, we picked up Akuda. I mean, that was great, but you're replacing talent. You're not adding to it. And that's what this franchise has done for years. It's just always felt like we're replacing talent, but we're never adding to it. And that's the issue I have. And that's the same for the next two drafts. It's just we've got a higher pick in the draft, not an extra pick. That's what it is by pick swaps.
Southwest Lion says he didn't check out against Seattle. He made some plays against the Dolphins. It's levelable what people are trying to make themselves feel better by trashing the guy when he's gone. And then Steve-O says, I still think the trade was more about dumping his salary than the picks. The salary wasn't high.
You don't have to pay him a dime next year. You can choose to not enforce that fifth-year option.
And if you did, it was only going to be like, what, $9 million?
$9 million. And that would have been accounted for. So, it's not like you're paying him a lot. Yeah. Really, it isn't. And again, who's to say there could not have been an amicable resolution to this? When Charles Harris got to the end of last season, everyone said he's going to go and chase a bag elsewhere. He's going to ask for elite edge rusher money. He is going to, try and rinse us for everything he's worth. What happens? He actually signs a very nice team-friendly deal with us and takes less money than he could have got elsewhere because he bought into this team, the way that it plays, and wanted to be here. Everyone tried slandering Charles Harris towards the end, going, let him go, it's fine, we don't need to pay him that much money, when all along he was asking for a fair deal. There's no reason the same cannot be expected of TJ Hawkinson in 18 months if he plays well and you find a middling playing field to pay him. Because people like to know, oh yeah, we've got $9 million extra now. Well done. You have 17 in the draft, Nick. You have 17 million spare cap, or you did before this move. Your first two draft picks, the first round picks alone, are going to cost 10 million. That money soon vanishes. This ain't as much as you think it's going to be going forward. You ain't going to be spending crazy in free agency. And people are saying, cut Vitae, cut Brockers. Well, they've both taken restructures on their deals. Their cap hits, what we can save, have come down. It's not saving you the amount of money that you think. Let Goff go. You're going to go out and draft a quarterback, and you're going to pay him a pretty penny.
But you know what pisses me off? If you were going to do that, you should have just did it last year. You should have just did it. If you might as well have just took Willis at 12. If you're just going to just do stupid stuff like this, just get it over with in the beginning part. Mike has joined us on the show.
Luke.
Oh, shit, Mike.
What I tell you a while ago, we knew we were going to suck a month and a half ago. Come on, man. The writing was on the wall.
No, I don't.
You were in the denial stage of the 5 stages of grief.
Oh, damn.
And then yesterday you got the anger stage and then you're coming to reality. Yep. It's
happening. It's definitely happening. But I can tell you this much. After sleeping on it, I realized that so many things that's happening now should have happened in his first season. It should have happened in his first offseason, his first draft. Everything that's happening now, if you was going to do all that, you should have did it in your first season. That's all I'm saying. And again, I'm now looking at it from the standpoint, and I think Grizzy might be back. Let me try this one more time. Grizzy, are you back? I just want to test this out. No. It is still not working. Now, I know he posted the message that said he's at U-Haul. I know you can probably hear us, but we are not being able to hear you.
I may have to jump off quick because I'm just waiting to record a segment with Herm really quick.
I ain't mad at you, but let me ask you this question before I give it to Miko, because I know Miko gonna give you something to think about. But obviously, right now, you clearly already got them at 1-7, so I don't even got to ask you the Packer question. But the question is now, is you buying the idea that this anonymous source is saying that he checked out?
Oh, you mean from Detroit Lions podcast? Like, I believe what they say because they are pretty credible, if you ask me. So I could definitely see that Hawkinson's checked out. Did you hear what he said today? He's like, it finally feels good to know that we can win a game. It's a bad feeling. I mean, yeah, come on, man. Of course. Look, I'm sure there's a lot of people checked out. Just like on the airplane back from the Dallas game, a lot of people was checked out. that was on that airplane was saying like, "Oh man, this ain't good." Like these guys they're done, man. But look, we're on to the draft. We're gonna get our quarterback.
I just listen. I mean, at this point, to be talking about draft is crazy.
Hey,
but I
every week 4 is when I start, baby.
Miko, what are your thoughts, man? You buying the fact that he checked out, that he didn't want to be here no more?
Well, I was gonna play a little devil's advocate, and I kind of like what Mike said, right? With the idea of if you go back to, I think TJ's comments during the offseason was about his future and things like that, and he responded with, "Bro, I just want to win." Like that was his response. Do you want to be here? And it turned into, "I want to win." So if Brad Holmes is upset about the money that he was potentially going to pay TJ, or if Dan Campbell is upset because TJ doesn't seem like he's as motivated in practice, well, you could have rectified all of that if you had won some games, if you had put together a winning product. Nothing cures a player's frustration or willingness to want to be somewhere than having a winning environment. If they're winning games, that's all that matters. But you're 1-6. So if TJ's checked out, if TJ doesn't want to be here, I would understand that being the reason why. I don't think that I don't think he went into the season with like, I don't want to be here. I think it slowly became that way when you started going 0-1, 1-1, 1-2, 1-3, and all of a sudden now you're 1-6.
1-4, 1-5, 1-6, 1-7. Yeah. Like Lions fans, we don't want to be here either. It sucks.
And, the trouble is now, what this does, it sends the message, you're gutting house again. If we are going to let Brockers go, Vaitai go, Goff go at the end of the year, and, everyone's saying we've got 6 picks in the top 65 now or whatever it is. Well, you know what's going to happen, Luke? And I said this to you in the chat yesterday. In 12 months' time, we're going to be told about we've got all this plethora of young talent on this team, but they're rookies. They can't win now. So you are already effectively writing off next season right now. We cannot have any expectations next year because this team, once again, will be young and full of rookies and should not be expected to do any better than just perform well. So
Did we do this last year?
Yeah, that's what I mean. This is the really unpalatable part of it. It is admitting that, right, we're tearing down again, guys. I'm sorry, but DJ, whatever people say about him, he's still a focal point of this offense, and on his day could be a really good part of it. He can help you win games. I don't care what people say about him, not doing well, etc. He could. You are now saying that, that window's closed, you're done, you're starting again. And like I say, we're not going to expect all these draft picks next year to come in and start winning straight away. So, right, great guys, you've already told us we've got to wait till 2024 now. That's a lot for Lions fans to handle. It really, really is. Because are we going to expect this team to win next year? Because the free agency money is not going to be there, no matter what everyone says about cutting Goff, cutting all these guys, $65 million. It soon goes. You've got to pay your practice squad. You've got to flesh out a 52-man roster, which half of them aren't even on it at this moment in time. You've got to pay all your draft picks. And now those top 65 picks are going to be expensive, very expensive, and we've not got much genuine, bona fide star talent on this team, which is NFL ready and NFL battle hardened. So you are giving up on next year. So that is what is so unpalatable about this. I don't want to
imagine if you're like a 60-year-old Lions fan, they've been giving up for the last 40 years for them.
But you know the worst part, though? It is so funny that Mike bring up the 60-year history. But you know the worst part about that history and knowing that? Everybody keeps talking about you're going to have this many picks in the top 65. They had 5 picks in the top 97, and you somehow packaged those up and made moves and traded. I don't think you get to make 5 picks in the top 67. I think he's going to do some more trades because he can't help himself. He can't. He was ready to make those trades for Levi Onwuzurike and had to be stopped by a guy who's been a GM before. He was
stop saying that name, bro. It's Levi Onwuzurike.
Oh, I'm sorry. You're right.
Real name.
He recant.
It's unpalatable, but
Deshaun Hand Enrique.
I don't think we're going to get all those draft picks either, but I think at the end of the day, we do need to start getting some bona fide NFL talent here and stop creaming over draft picks. If we have to give some of these draft picks away to entice good players to come here and play for us and make our team better,
yeah, Will Harris, you've got to about, man. That's bona fide talent. We got Alex Anzalone. What crack you want over there? Well, that's talent, baby.
Mike, I want Tim Boyle, all right?
Oh, hell yeah. Tim Boyle, man. That spiced that bad boy up. He's going to lead us to 0-17, baby. Let's go.
And the crazy part is this, though. The crazy part of this is, Mike, is you have so many different outlets who do not understand that the biggest problem is starting at the top. They want to go straight to the head coach. Cool. And I said this yesterday. You ask that man to make you tomato soup with lemons. I don't know how you do this, but this is not acceptable. There's not a single person on this defense.
I'm going to tell you why.
Oh, shit. Go ahead.
You said it starts at the top. You're full of shit. It starts at Rory. I've been saying this now for about a month now.
Listen, let's talk about Rory. Did Rory steal your beer?
Who's here in 0-16? Rory.
Wait a minute. I thought Rory came after the 0-16 season.
Oh, Rory been here for a long damn time. And he's really getting under my skin.
Damn.
And he's the problem. Come on, man.
So we got
trade Rory for the Vikings mascot.
So damn. You want the guy that looks like the over-the-top Clash of the Clans character? Really?
Yeah, man. Let's bring them all in, man.
Anzalone is rated high this season, and I don't get it.
Because he continues to hit people. Like, he just finds a way to get enough hits on people for them to be like, oh, like, he's doing stuff.
Yeah, I don't know.
The thing is, he's not a leader. You want your green dot to be a true leader who your team rallies around. No one rallies around Alex Anzalone. He doesn't inspire people to go on and win a game of football. He's just there earning his paycheck like all the other guys. That's what I mean. You need a guy who's going to come in there and take command. And it's that age-old adage, Luke. Linebackers, who wants them? We want Micah Parsons. Look how good he is. I want Devin Lloyd last year. Look how good he is. Oh, no. Linebackers, what's their value? Nothing. Well, apparently not. Apparently you do need someone on your team, and you need someone good. And I'm sick of all this positional value crap with it because it's year after year after year. When was the last time we had an all-dominating linebacker?
Let's talk about positional value. You got positional value.
Wait. I know they don't hit a button now. When Anthony has finally chunked up and said, F this positional value crap, y'all have hit a nerve. Y'all have got him.
You've done cracked. He's now in what he's at anger stage. He's at your stage last night. You were really pissed off. He was at the anger stage. Ant-Man, join me
at one point about the positional value. I remember.
Join me I don't give a shit stage.
But he has chalked it up and said he don't want to hear about no damn positional value. He won't talent.
They are who we thought they were.
I do, Luke. I do. I'm sick of seeing the same deficiencies on this defense and getting told they don't matter. Oh, you don't want a corner early. You don't want a safety early. Well, secondary's getting shredded.
Every week,
no leadership in the middle of that defense.
I got to record this section.
All right,
quick.
you be safe out there,
yeah,
Mike.
The fact that Malcolm Rodriguez has taken a position of responsibility on this linebacking core, and he is a 6th-round rookie out of Oklahoma State. And you know me, Luke, I love him to bits, but the fact that power vacuum is there for him to come into so early shows you how lacking in leadership that room is. You need someone in there to lead the room and lead by example. And it's our 6th-round rookie out of the last draft who's setting the example.
Who I think, had he went to any other team but this damn place, is not a starter. I just have I've tried to go through every roster and see who he can plug in and take, even in injury, and it was hard to do. I'm sorry. Somebody else might be able to do it, but more power to him. Not a Lions fan, but Pistons. And this is starting off with you, Miko, because this right here is an interesting statement. He says, let's say Hawk did want $15 million plus. Where else are you going to put that money towards? What quality free agent wants to come here on a rebuild in their prime?
So
damn.
It does require you to do the free agency gymnastics that Anthony was talking about with a lot of players getting cut, right? You still cut those same players. You re-sign Hawk, you give him his $15 million. You start cutting players, you have around $50 million of cap space, and you got to do, this is where Brad Holmes earns his paycheck. It's not just with drafting players, it's with juggling the cap. And you got to find a way of getting quality players in here on reasonable deals. But at least you would have been able to cut your quarterback, get a young quarterback, and say, look, you get to come into an offense that is loaded with weapons. You are loaded at the offensive line. All we need you to do is come in here and execute the offense. And then you spend the rest of your draft capital, you spend the rest of your free agency money building depth and finding depth on the defense, maybe finding a backup offensive lineman as well in certain places. But that's how at least I would have rebuilt this team.
I wish he would have did it sooner. Gunner's coming in the building. Gunner, what's going on, bro? I feel like you got
what
a
up,
fan
fellas?
on.
Yeah, sorry, it is hot as hell in here.
I ain't mad at you, brother.
That is on tier one.
What you got for? I mean, first, let me start with the big question. Lions going against the Packers. You any hope? Any?
I do not care. I'm gonna be honest. I just do not care. We can put up 42. They gonna put up 43. Like who cares?
That's the only reason I am on Brad Holmes' head, because I'm like, if you walk in the door, the worst part of this team was defense. How in the hell 2 years into your adjustment is still the worst part and getting worse? Just don't get it. But what's your thought? I know you got some thoughts probably on the trade, the prospect, but the idea
the trade was stupid.
The idea that he didn't want to be here, or the idea that, as not a Lions fan, but said, who wants to come here and what are you doing with that money? What are the Lions doing with that extra money that they call themselves saving?
Nothing. More losing. That's what have saved them. That's what got them. No, I just think the idea of trade, this is just as dumb as a Slade trade. You have a star tight end and a star corner. You do not. Those are cornerstone players. You do not trade those players.
Now it's funny.
Getting a new tight end is not easy. You do not Mark Andrews.
Which is why when we got it, it was amazed. The Dallas Cowboys have been trying for years to get a damn tight end.
We had to take ours 8th overall to get one. That's how hard they are to find.
But listen, not a Lion fan, but says, for your Bob Quinn bashers for trading Slay, what did they get for Slay in comparison to what Holmes received for Hop?
The difference with that is Slay wanted out. Like he was tweeting like crazy. Like you weren't getting nothing for Slay.
But I will say this though. There is a bit of comparisons you can do in those two trades, and saying that, look, you look at that trade that they made at that time. Again, he wanted to be out. We get it. And let's just say for argument purposes that TJ Hockenson wanted to be out. You didn't pick swap.
Showing up didn't do that. You definitely didn't do that.
You got draft picks to move a cornerback. That was really good. So I mean,
so you know what the big thing is though, Luke. I mean, regardless of how these guys leave, Darius Slay, Quandre Diggs, TJ Hockenson, it's always the fans who suffer through this. Whatever happens, we have to watch our good talent leave again and again and again and again. And, it's like, well, Brad Holmes comes out and says, this is going to be good for the franchise in the future. But for so many fans, the future has been the future for God knows how many years now. It's always been these promises that it's going to come. And then it never does. And then you guys leave, whether it's because they want to leave because the coach is a dick, or whether it's because they want to leave because, the coach doesn't see him as part of the future and doesn't want to pay him the money. But the fans always end up seeing the good players leave. That is the fundamental story here. And that's what annoys so many people. It's like, when does it end? When do these young players stay here? And when do we start winning games?
I think it ends. I think it ends the moment that we start to treat the players like they are valued to this damn team and actually win. When you're not winning and you don't want to pay, it's almost like asking somebody to go out and say, cut your grass for free. You just walk up to a random guy, hey, you cut my grass. Oh, you want to pay me? No, just cut the grass.
There's always someone to pay. I mean, people think there isn't, but next year you've got to pay a Cuda. You've got to pay Jonah Jackson. If you want to keep your offensive line intact, you've got to pay Jonah Jackson next year. And I guarantee you, he's going to ask for money beyond what you think he's worth paying, because he has been good in his 3 years here.
He's going to want top guard money.
So you always say, when we've got no one to pay now, and I've seen the beat writer say, well, no, you've got to pay your left guard. You want your offensive line intact, you've got to pay him. You've got to pay Akuda. If Akuda carries on playing the way he is for the rest of this season and next, in 12 months, he's going to be asking for good money. You've got to pay him as well. There's always somebody to pay. So saying we're getting rid of these guys, dumping the salary, well, you're just making it for the next guy. And then you're going to have Penny to pay in a few years, and you are going to be paying him a pretty penny. You're going to be paying him far more than Taylor Decker's earning at this moment in time. The cycle never ends.
Shay says, when are Lion fans going to realize that players can see the shit we say about our own players, and yet we expect to get better players through free agency? Yeah, I literally started YouTube because of some of the things that I was seeing, and that's how I even got on YouTube. Because I was like, these fans are getting ridiculous, and it was encouraged by media outlets who needed the ratings. So, but yeah, I totally get it. I guess at this point, you know, and I'm going to ask this question regularly over and over, and Miko, I'm going to ask it to you because I think this is something that we got it. It's the clock started for Brad Holmes.
Yeah, if it didn't start after this last draft, it's definitely starting right now. Because this is some BS. Like you literally restarted a rebuild in the middle of the season. In the middle.
This offseason is his first big test for me because you have to do several things this offseason. First off, when this season is done, you've got to be brutal with your cuts. You know, Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell are very player-centric, and they've created a harmonious atmosphere with the players here. That you credit them for because the previous regime didn't do that. But eventually, you've got to start saying enough is enough. You know, injured players, Romeo, gotta go. Underperformers, Brockers, gotta go. You've got to start cutting vociferously. You've got to start making cuts that people don't like, the players don't like. You've got to put a hard line on here. Get some money for yourself in free agency and give yourself something to work with. Then you've got to be aggressive in free agency. Start going after guys. Start paying them. You know, start trading draft picks. Getting bona fide capital into this team. Getting bona fide players in here to support all this young talent we've got. And then you've got to go and kill the draft. I know you can't land on every pick, but at least get guys in who have the possibility to contribute, you know, very closely to the point of when we draft them. Get guys who will be cornerstones. Be very shrewd with it. There's a lot he has to do this season to get us going in the right direction. And I believe in him. I think he will. But if he doesn't, if we're in the end of next offseason and we're going, you know, it doesn't feel like a great deal's happened here, then you start the questions.
All right, I had to mute my man Gunner because Gunner keeps trying to put us in the sunken place. I can hear that damn spoon in that bowl, Gunner. He started trying to do this. I had to mute him. Sorry, Gunner.
Shout out to my guy Gian in the chat.
Did he show up?
John Trebecki. Shout out to my boy Gian.
Hey, now I was wondering who that was. I never seen that name.
Yeah, we call him Gian on the podcast, but that's the real name.
All right, so he said there's a big difference. I guess this is a direct thing for what Anthony pointed out. He said there's a huge difference between paying a luxury position like tight end and a fundamental building block like O-line.
Not when that tight end is like generational talent. Like when he's like got top tier talent. Like we're not talking about a middle of the road tight end. Like we're talking about like one of the best at his position.
So you watch straight away. The first thing you're going to see as a result of TJ leaving, you watch how much pressure Amon-Ra is going to get because of this now. How many times does TJ take double teams, take big linebackers in the middle of that field? Where does Amon-Ra do his best work? In the middle of the field. And you can bet your ass they're going to start doubling him every play now because you've lost your tight end who takes that coverage away. A lot of the times TJ don't get the looks is because he's so well covered, because teams fear him. You've lost that fear now. Everyone is going to zero in on Amon-Ra, and that is the first thing you are going to see with him being gone. This is a big part of our offensive play plan.
And it don't sound like the head coach is happy about it. Also, the idea, and I keep saying this, I don't think people realize it, this idea that we didn't have salary. We had the 6th highest salary cap going into the free agency last year at $36 million. So, we're going there with 40 and 60 now. Great. He used that money on people that should have never been brought back, and then they was useless. Tim Boyle should have never got another penny from us. That's a waste of money, right? You know, you brought back David Blau versus drafting the quarterback. Fine. Then you cut him after making a 53-man roster in exchange to add another guy who ain't never done nothing in Stubblefield. So you start to see all these little moves, and they do add up. You know, I you know, again, I go back to my family because they do give good advice. Grandma used to always tell me, you know, son, when you go into them stores, if the price say 99 cents, you get your damn penny back. Because imagine if 10 of you come in there and let them keep that penny. They just made a 10-cent profit. At the end of the day, when you're signing all these small-time people to these small-time deals and then cutting them, that stuff adds up. And it will deplete your cap. And that's why the cap looks like how it looks now. Because you signed some people that should not be here. They just shouldn't. That's all I'm pointing out. It's frustrating. I know a lot of people ain't gonna understand it. But it is what it is. And I think at the end of the day, you're going to end up being in a position that you shouldn't be in. I put this question up before where I don't trust Brad Holmes to make those picks count. I don't trust it. And that's just me. I can be wrong. I'm praying that I'm wrong, but I don't trust it.
You don't want more injured players?
I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like, I mean, half the people he took this year, the pattern was captains. So now when I'm going and looking at the damn prospects,
I want to know who gets injured.
I want to see who's the captain. Right. That's what I want to see. Who's the hurt captain?
I said the same thing though, Luke, after the draft. Like, listen, I get it. They trying to build a new culture, but like at some point in time, you got to get talent. And you did your culture draft last year. Can I please just get like grade A talent?
Yep. And that's why I love Sue. When fans used to bag on Sue, he's a dirty player. He's our dirty player. He's our dirty player. Every team need a bad guy. I remember when Vontaze Burfict was over on the Bengals. He had people nervous about coming across that field.
James Harrison
had people scared. Ronnie Lott, that's your bad guy. Now who's the bad guy? Everybody over there is so sweet and gentle. They'll lay you down there's no bad guy over there. Aiden Hutchinson half the time looked like he about to take a poop when he try to get around somebody. Like he's using every muscle just to get around somebody. I want a bad guy. Aaron Donald every week it's in somebody's face, jaw jagging with him and everything, pushing him and shoving him. Where's our bad guy?
Well, you've got the number 1 pick and you've got a very bad man playing on the edge of Alabama who you can pick. That's where you go. You want your bad man, he's there.
Some fans are saying if they don't draft a quarterback, they're out.
You can. I mean, people are so focused on the 2 top ones this year. It's like they've gone blind. There's a lot more than just them 2 in this year, and you can still fix your defense with your top level picks.
Yeah, I still think, I mean, going back to the whole positional value thing, like if you end up with the first overall pick, you have to take the best player available. And if that's Will Anderson, you got to take Will Anderson, and you still have another first round pick. Get your quarterback then. If you're going to trade draft picks and you're going to trade up and do stuff like that, at least do it for a position that I can get behind. And Luke, a little bit to your point, that's going to play. So if you end up, the Rams end up having a pick around the 12th or something like that, and you want to trade up and get into the top 10 to get a quarterback, great. But make those moves count. Don't just, I don't know, man.
Again, it's one of the reasons why I went on the attack of the positional value thing, because I'm like, this is bullshit. Nobody cares about positional value as long as the pick is right. You can literally take Mr. Poopy Pants from Rick and Morty in the 7th round. If he's balling, nobody gives a fuck what he looks like. Even though he looks like a little Cheeto or a fucking pretzel stick, nobody cares because he's balling. But if you took Mr. Poopy Pants first overall and he don't do nothing, everybody's upset. And nobody cares but he plays a perennial position. It's BS. All you care about is, are they performing? That's
how do you think the Jets feel right now?
They're sick. The same way with the 49ers, who thank God we did not trade away, which Shanahan purposely made sure they couldn't get rid of Jimmy Garoppolo. Because he knew he was forced to take that quarterback, and he knew this ain't going to work. Now imagine if they did that. They all looking salty. And again, I don't mind if you take the guy, but even the way that they did it, like they didn't, I think the biggest problem is you got a defensive minded coach who comes in and he's focused on the defense, and the offense need to have a guy who can solely be unleashed. And I think that's what the problem you're saying with Zach Wilson. But the same can be said for Trevor Lawrence over there. He's holding on to the ball too long. He's doing a lot of things going wrong. And the only thing I'm hearing from most of those Jaguar fans is, get this guy the F out of here. Where's the guy that was playing at Clemson at? because nobody cares about that if they're not performing, and that's just what it boils down to. Let me hit a few more things. If y'all got questions y'all want to put in the chat, put them in there, and then we can get up out of here because I got it. Like I said, I had to get on earlier. It says, "Left, you gonna draft a quarterback that has to put up 30 points a week, and you going over analyze him because he's not playing perfect to stay competitive?" Huh? I'm not sure I get it. I'm sorry, I don't get it. I would take Hooker and Will Anderson. I thought it was okay. Well, look, whatever it is, the problem is
man, everybody wants a Hooker, huh?
Because you know what it is. You know why? I'm gonna tell you. Yeah, everybody wants a Hooker. I just thought about that. I'm so slow. That went over my head, Miko. It did. But I think when I look at this draft, I don't see a quarterback that I'm willing to take in the top 5. I don't see it. I've tried to see it. I've had people tell me like, you got to look at Levis. I was like, oh, okay, and I watched him, and I'm like, oh, okay.
That's got Daniel Jones written all over it. You stay away from that.
And then people was like, you got to look at CJ Stroud. I'm just thinking to myself like, I'm sorry, but the ball looks so slow coming out.
We do not need to do this again 3 years in a row with these OSU quarterbacks with this fan base. They gotta stop.
I'm just saying. So to me, it's hard. Sue was a talented, dirty player. Love it. I love that. Bring me that talented, dirty ass player. I'll take him back now if I could, but he wouldn't touch this team. You can't even get. Nobody wants to touch this team. Not when you're still losing, and that's the problem. He needed to make he should have had. Brad Holmes should have had a sense of urgency that allowed for him to put enough in place for them. Because mind you, players were starting to buy into what they were seeing. They saw that those were close games that they were not losing, and they was ready to buy in, right? But now when you look at it, you see much of the same. People are like, shit, maybe I was wrong. So that's all I'm pointing out. I got one more question for you fellas. If y'all got the time, we're gonna make it quick because it's a simple one, and it's essentially just the ultimate one. Now, who is the one player, whether it be offense or defense? Offense or defense, and I'll even throw in special teams at this goddamn point. Who's that one player that is the impact player now? We start off with you, Gunner.
On offense and defense?
Offense, no, you can give me one or the other. Just that, because on defense, if you find somebody on defense, you impressive. Okay? So,
I mean, it has to be Swift if he's healthy, when he stays healthy.
Okay, Swift. All right.
Biggest impact player.
What say you, Anthony? Who's that one player?
Amon Ra. He's the impact player now.
Okay. All right, Miko, who's your one player?
Swift.
Yeah, I got to go with Swift too when he's healthy. And the problem is I think I've said this last year before the season started. I said I don't really think Swift is as hurt as he's been mad. I think he's trying to find a way to get the hell out of here.
I mean, yeah, I was about to say, I mean, if you want to talk about players who've checked out, look at that last game. He had no desire to go forward to the line of scrimmage and get physical. He was sitting in the backfield waiting for gaps to appear, and when they didn't, he was going down to the ground before he even got contacted. That's rare for a running back. He did not want it. I know he was hurt, but he did not want it. He should not have been playing that last game.
No.
It was, and to hear Dan Campbell afterwards go, oh yeah, he's not fit, but we'll play him next week. We hope he gets a bit fitter. It's like, get that damn injured player off my pitch. Elevate Jamar Jefferson, who is healthy, and let him have a go. Give Craig Reynolds more touches. Let him have a go. Get these injured players out my damn side if they can't perform 100% and put players in who will. I love DeAndre, but he did not care a damn in that last game. He was not interested in playing.
I think he was still mad after they drafted him and then went out and got Adrian Peterson. And Adrian Peterson is an honest person, was telling him, I've been telling him you need to start and me back you up, and it's not happening. like I think he was mad about that. But also another thing that I'm just noticing with the chat, and I noticed this not only with this chat, but I noticed it in other people's chats and other videos and stuff that I've been looking at. Mind you, if y'all want to see some stuff that's crazy, go to YouTube and just type in the Vikings. Find every Vikings YouTube and listen to how they talking. They are excited. They are like, goodbye. I'm tired of Irv Smith. This is much better. Like They are excited. But the thing that I'm noticing here is this: there's an assumption that the Lions are going to have the first overall pick. I guarantee you they're going to win a bunch of games and not be having. They're going to probably end up with like the second or third pick, and y'all going to be pissed.
Luke, I'm gonna need you to pick those games for me, brother, because I don't see it other than the Jaguars.
So you obviously you got the Jaguars, right? And you still got the Jets and the Giants, and I still think out of those three games, they can sneak a win in. And then obviously you get the Bears twice,
bruh.
You ain't buying it.
Nah, I think they lose. I think they lose like a combination of not having the talent anymore, as well as I think you're gonna start seeing players check out.
But I'm just saying, like last year, I think people thought they were gonna have the first overall pick, and they ended up winning some games late.
Yeah, they won 2.
Right, but them 2 games put their ass at 2.
Yeah, but like Jacksonville was like so much worse than
True.
True. Jacksonville wasn't trying, and like the Lions were actively trying. I think this year is gonna be the reverse. Like somebody behind the Lions is gonna be trying to win some games. And a lot of those players are like, man, get me to the offseason.
So that's a good question, though. I think we should explore that, though. Do you really think the Lions end up with the first overall pick? In my opinion, if they end up, and I said this before, if the Lions win less than, I said this, y'all, I said this too low. If the Lions win anywhere near what their record was or less, that everybody should be fired, and I stand by that. I'm sorry, I stand by it. But it is what it is. That's it, people. We got to get up out of here. So we get into the final thoughts. We start off with you, Gunner. Give people your final thoughts. How many picks do we have next year? We still got 9 picks, right? Next year?
9 injured players coming to the team. Let's go.
Well, go ahead. Give me the final thoughts. Oh, wait a minute. Hold on. Let me do this really quick. Because my man, All-Timer Dave, been rocking with me for a long time. All-Timer Dave been making sure he comes through and show some love, man. I get excited every time I see All-Timer Dave. All-Timer Dave is a Packers fan, but he always showed me support and love and rocking. So shout out to you, sir. Thank you for being here. But go ahead. Give me your final thoughts, Gunner.
I was at the Dolphins game this last Sunday. That was very disappointing to see that many Dolphins fans at that stadium. Like, that was actually absurd.
It wasn't worse than the 49er game I went to. That was a sea of red.
I believe that. Well, I mean, I was just surrounded by Dolphins fans. That was nasty.
So, okay. All right. Let's go down to you, Anthony. Make sure you tell them, because you know it's linked in the description. Tell them about the channel and where they can find you and all the family at, brother.
Yeah, you can find us at Roar of the Lions UK. Like you say, Luke, it's highlighted below. So if you want to come and try a different flavor of Detroit Lions content from over the Atlantic, then come give us a go. Really, really appreciate it. As for final thoughts, I don't know. I'm just very disappointed at the moment, and this season has not been what I wanted it to be. I'm still praying they win games. I couldn't care less about the first overall pick. I don't want it. I would rather this team win some games, because some year you have to start winning football games. And if all your rookies do is learn how to lose games and never learn how to win, you're never going to move forward as a franchise. So screw the first overall pick. Win some games and come on, get some damn pride back. You play the Bears in a week and a half. Go out there and show that you can beat a tanking franchise. At least get some respectability back. But for now, I'm just really annoyed with this. I'm just really annoyed at the minute.
I ain't mad at you, man. I get it. I totally get it. Miko, man. Yeah. First of all, let me just salute you for coming through. And you made sure you got Scotty to show up. And you got Gian in the chat. Shout out to Gian who's got him a new infant that's probably taking up all that energy. I remember them days. Jesus, God bless you. But Miko, thank you for coming through, brother. You and the rest of the fellas from Questionable Podcast and blessing us with all the knowledge and glory that you guys have. And look, he's still here getting it in, which is I absolutely love. I don't know how he's doing that with an infant, because mine was on my head. I was the one holding them every single moment. I'm like, God, Lee. So good to you. 3 weeks tomorrow. Fuck. Congratulations.
Gian must have Gian has the greatest baby on the planet.
And he has to, bro. He had like the baby is like holding him with the pacifier. Like that's what's going on now. But Miko, tell them where to find you. It is linked in the description, but tell them where to find you and then how to check in and get more content from you.
Yeah, so the Questionable Podcast, like Luke said, linked in the description. Also, you can like engage with us over on Instagram at Questionable Tees, same as Twitter. Also, like Scotty said earlier in the show, questionabletees.com. You can get dope apparel, hats like this, t-shirts. We do it all. And yeah, final thoughts on this team. I'm kind of right there with Anthony. I'm a little disappointed in how this season has gone. And I don't necessarily want the first overall pick, but I do want Jared Goff gone. So I feel like we have to get the first overall pick in order for that to happen. So it's just the way it's got to go, man.
He said, "I want him gone." So if you don't suck hard enough, it ain't gonna work. I get it. Mike Kidd says Spartans suck.
Hey, man.
Damn. Hey, what you mean? Argue with you? Can't argue with you. I mean, what it is. And then Shay says the Lions fans didn't even expect them to win 4 games anyway. So seeing them cry about being 1-6 is kind of funny. Like I said, it amazes me. It amazes me. Y'all know me, people. Thank y'all, for coming in. I can't do nothing but end the show on a positive note. Today's positive quote comes from Instagram. It says, "You become what you give your attention to." I'm going to repeat that again. You become what you give your attention to. For somebody, y'all going to need to hear this. So I know you need to dial in a little bit. Turn the volume up on this one. Did you know that the people you hang around usually mean that that's who you are? Everything is a reflection of you. You put your attention to certain people, that attention generally comes back. For every energy you give out, you have to get that same energy back. And this is what I've discovered. I discovered that some of you don't seem to have the discipline to be consistent in what you put your attention into. You got to be in everything. You got your hands over here, your foot over there, your eyes over there, and your heart is somewhere completely different. When you get yourself in full alignment, you notice that everything in your life finds balance. It lines up in a way to where you did not even realize that things come to you more easier than they ever could have. This is the most simple, basic thing that you do. In fact, one of the things I used to always hear was, you never seen a turkey hanging with a goddamn ostrich. You know why? Because those things cannot give each other energy. They have no purpose amongst each other. And you right now are giving your energy and your attention to things that you're trying to figure out, why is it coming back to you? Why is things not going the way you want to? It's because you become what you give your attention to. Put your attention on what your true dreams are. Put your attention on what your true goals are. Put your attention on what your true destiny is, and make sure that you don't look no other way. Become tunnel vision in your own vision of your own happiness. And those same people who don't know how to support you in that, they'll fade out because they'll tell you that you're being fake and why you're acting different. And man, you change, because they don't understand that as you get older, you should grow. And when you grow, you should become better. So before you decide to make decisions that line up with things that don't go with your attention, put your attention back on who most need it the most, and that is you. With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, hit that like, subscribe, notification bell, and as always, please comment, because I do like to see what y'all talk about, and I do comment back with you. And as always, don't be no chump. Please do your research. We are out.